The Anderson family's corporate headquarters hadn't changed since I was a child. The same polished marble floors, the same oak-paneled walls, the same crushing weight of expectations and disappointment. Standing in the lobby, I smoothed down my simple black dress. No designer label, nothing to suggest I could buy this entire building without blinking. My name is Emma Anderson, though my family barely acknowledges the last name we share. To them, I'm just the daughter who walked away from the family business 5 years ago, choosing to forge my own path instead of accepting the token position at Anderson Global. If they only knew that I now own Sterling Enterprises, the corporation about to acquire their struggling company. The security guard didn't recognize me, glanced at my visitor badge skeptically. The executive meeting is in the main boardroom. Kitchen's down the hall. I bit back a smile. I know where the kitchen is. I'll find my way. The 20th floor was buzzing with activity. Today's board meeting wasn't just any meeting. It was the final discussion before tomorrow's vote on Sterling's acquisition offer, an offer my family desperately needed to accept, though their pride would never let them admit it. Emma, my brother Michael's voice carried down the hallway, dripping with fake surprise. What are you doing here? I turned to face him, taking in his perfectly tailored suit, the gold watch that probably cost more than what he thought I made in a year. Hello, Michael. Dad invited me. He raised an eyebrow. Did he? To the board meeting? His laugh was sharp. Come on, Emma. You know this is for actual executives, people who understand business. And what exactly do you think I've been doing for the past 5 years? I kept my voice level, remembering the stack of acquisition papers waiting in my office across town. Oh right, your little consulting thing. He waved dismissively. How's that going? Still helping small businesses with their bookkeeping? If he only knew that little consulting thing was a cover for my real company, Sterling Enterprises, a corporation that had systematically acquired struggling companies across 3 continents. It pays the bills, I said mildly. Emma, our father's voice boomed from the boardroom doorway. Richard Anderson, CEO of Anderson Global, looked exactly as I remembered. Commanding presence, steel gray hair, and eyes that could freeze hell. You came. I nodded. You asked me to. Yes, well, he glanced at his watch. The meeting's about to start. Why don't you wait in the kitchen? Martha can bring you coffee. Michael smirked. The kitchen is where you belong. Successful people only in the boardroom. I thought about the past 5 years, building Sterling from the ground up, orchestrating deals that made Michael's biggest acquisitions look like pocket change, all while letting my family believe I was barely scraping by. Actually, I started, but was cut off by the arrival of Anderson Global's CFO, Thomas Wright. He hurried down the hallway, clutching a folder and looking worried. Mr. Anderson, we need to discuss these projections before the meeting. The numbers from last quarter. Not now, Thomas. My father's tone was sharp. We have more important matters to discuss. The Sterling offer is nowhere near what this company is worth, Michael interrupted confidently. We'll reject it. Find another buyer. I had to stifle a laugh. I knew exactly what Anderson Global was worth. I'd spent months analyzing every detail, every weakness, every skeleton in a corporate closet. The kitchen, Emma, my father reminded me firmly. This isn't your concern. I walked toward the kitchen, their voices fading behind me. 5 years ago, I would have been hurt by the dismissal. Now it was almost amusing. Let them have their meeting, their illusion of control. Tomorrow everything would change. The kitchen was exactly as I remembered. State-of-the-art appliances that were barely used since the entire floor ordered takeout for every meal. Martha, the office manager who had worked here since I was a child, looked up in surprise. Emma, is that really you? I smiled, giving her a warm hug. She had always been kind to me, even after I left the family business. Hello, Martha. Still keeping this place running? She sighed, glancing at the boardroom. Trying to. Things haven't been the same since you left. Your brother, she lowered her voice. Well, let's just say some of his decisions haven't worked out so well. I knew exactly which decision she meant. Michael's failed expansion into Asian markets, the botched merger with Tech Solutions, the string of harassment complaints from female employees that had been quietly settled, all documented in Sterling's due diligence report. I heard about the Sterling offer, Martha continued, pouring me coffee. Between us, we need it. The company's not doing well, no matter what your father says. Is that why Dad invited me today, to witness their triumph over another buyer? Martha's expression turned knowing. Actually, he didn't invite you. Thomas did. Said it was important you be here. Now that was interesting. Thomas Wright had been Anderson Global's CFO for 20 years. He was also the only person in the company who knew exactly how bad things were. My phone buzzed. A text from my assistant at Sterling. Everything's ready for tomorrow. Board votes confirmed. Contracts prepared. I smiled, remembering Michael's smug face. Successful people only in the boardroom. Well, tomorrow they'd learn what real success looked like. Through the kitchen door, I could hear the board meeting starting. My father's voice carried clearly, still a commanding presence, still convinced he could control everything. As you know, we've received an acquisition offer from Sterling Enterprises. While the terms are generous, Anderson Global doesn't need a savior. We've weathered challenges before. Michael's voice chimed in. Exactly. This company was built by Andersons, and it will stay in Anderson hands. I had to admire their confidence, misplaced as it was. They had no idea that their company had been bleeding money for years, that their major clients were already in talks with Sterling, that tomorrow's vote was a mere formality. The kitchen door swung open, and Thomas slipped in, looking harried. He froze when he saw me, then quickly closed the door behind him. Ms. Anderson, he said quietly, or should I say, Ms. Sterling. My coffee cup paused halfway to my lips. How long have you known? He smiled tiredly. I've been tracking Sterling's acquisitions for years. The pattern, the methodology, it had your fingerprints all over it. When I saw the offer, I knew. Does anyone else know? No, but they will tomorrow, won't they? I set down my cup. They left me no choice, Thomas. Michael's running this company into the ground, and Dad's too proud to stop him. He nodded. I know. That's why I made sure you were here today. They need to see, they need to understand what they've lost. Through the door, Michael's voice rose excitedly. In fact, I've just closed a deal that will show Sterling exactly who they're dealing with. The Zhang merger. I winced. The Zhang merger. A desperate attempt to enter the Chinese market that would have bankrupted Anderson Global if Sterling hadn't already arranged to block it. Thomas checked his watch. The CFO of Sterling should be calling any minute to discuss the Zhang deal. Right on cue, my phone rang. I answered, putting it on speaker. Go ahead, Marcus. Ms. Sterling, the Zhang contracts have been canceled as arranged. Would you like me to inform Anderson Global now or wait until tomorrow's board meeting? Thomas's eyes widened at my title. Even he hadn't known I was CEO. Now is fine, I said, loud enough to carry through the door. They should know exactly who they're dealing with. The kitchen door burst open. Michael stood there, face red with anger. What did you just say? Who are you talking to? I stood up slowly, smoothing my simple dress. Marcus, please hold. I believe I'll deliver this news in person. Walking past my stunned brother, I entered the boardroom where my father and the board members sat in frozen silence. For the first time in 5 years, I took my place at the head of the table. The Zhang merger is dead, I announced calmly, just like every other desperate attempt to save this company will be. Unless, of course, you accept Sterling's offer. My father's face had turned ashen. What are you talking about? How do you know about Zhang? I smiled, thinking of all the times they'd sent me to the kitchen, dismissed my ideas, treated me as less than nothing. Because, Dad, I'm the CEO of Sterling Enterprises, and tomorrow, one way or another, this company will be mine. The silence in the boardroom was deafening. 20 faces stared at me in shock, their expressions ranging from disbelief to horror as my words sank in. My father gripped the arms of his chair, his knuckles white. Michael had collapsed into a seat, his arrogance evaporating like morning dew. Marcus, I spoke into my phone, still on speaker. Please send in the transition team. Right away, Miss Sterling. My father found his voice first. This is impossible. Sterling Enterprises is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. You're just what, Dad? I met his gaze steadily. Just the daughter you sent to the kitchen? Just the failure who walked away from the family business? The boardroom doors opened and my team walked in, senior executives from Sterling, legal counsel, financial analysts. All people who had worked with me for years, who knew exactly who I was and what I was capable of. Ladies and gentlemen, I addressed the board. You have less than 24 hours to accept Sterling's offer. If you refuse, we'll proceed with our alternative strategy. Michael laughed nervously. Alternative strategy? What alternative strategy? I nodded to my CFO, who distributed folders to each board member. Over the past 3 years, Sterling has systematically acquired controlling interests in your major clients' companies. We've also purchased a significant portion of your debt. If you reject our offer, we'll simply redirect the business elsewhere. The board members flipped through the documents, their faces growing paler with each page. They were seeing the truth, how thoroughly I had outmaneuvered them, how completely I controlled their fate. This is corporate terrorism, Michael shouted, jumping to his feet. You can't do this. Actually, I can, and I have. I pulled out another folder. Would you like to discuss the John merger, brother? Or perhaps we should talk about the harassment settlements you thought you buried. He sank back into his chair, the blood draining from his face. My father stood slowly, his authority crumbling like a sandcastle at high tide. Why, Emma? Why go to all this trouble? If you wanted to come back, come back. I cut him off. To what? A token position. Another lecture about knowing my place. I gestured to my team. I built something better, something you never thought I could do. Thomas, still standing by the door, cleared his throat. The company's financials. They're worse than anyone here knows. Without this merger. Shut up, Michael snapped. We don't need their money. Actually, I said quietly, you do. Your last 3 quarters have shown significant losses. The Zhang merger would have bankrupted you. Your stock price is about to plummet when the market opens tomorrow. I paused. Unless, of course, you announce your merger with Sterling Enterprises. One of the board members, an elderly man who had known me since childhood, spoke up. The terms of the merger, they're fair? I nodded. More than fair. Sterling will absorb all debt, protect all jobs except senior management, and maintain the Anderson name on subsidiary projects. I met my father's eyes. I'm not here to destroy what you built. I'm here to save it from those who never understood its true value. The room erupted in whispered conversations. Board members huddled over documents, analyzing numbers they should have questioned years ago. My father stood frozen, watching his empire slip through his fingers. Michael, desperate now, tried one last play. The investors won't stand for this. The Anderson family name means nothing without results, I finished. Check your phones, everyone. The market just opened in Hong Kong. News of the Zhang merger failure should be hitting any moment. As if on cue, phones began buzzing around the room. The color drained from faces as board members saw their stock price beginning its predicted dive. Time's up, I announced. You have 2 choices. Accept Sterling's offer now, before the U.S. markets open, or watch this company collapse by closing bell. The board chairman cleared his throat. I move we vote immediately on the Sterling acquisition offer. Seconded, came a chorus of voices. My father held up a hand. Wait. Just wait. He turned to me, and for the first time, I saw something new in his eyes, respect, tinged with fear. All this time, you were building this? Planning this? No, Dad. I was building something successful, something meaningful. The fact that it led here. I shrugged. That's just business. The vote was quick and unanimous. Even Michael, seeing the writing on the wall, raised his hand in favor. Within an hour, papers were signed, press releases drafted, and Anderson Global officially became a subsidiary of Sterling Enterprises. As the board members filed out, many stopping to shake my hand with newfound deference, Martha appeared at the door. Her eyes were bright with unshed tears of pride. I always knew you were meant for more than the kitchen, she whispered, hugging me tight. Michael was the last to leave, his swagger replaced by defeated shuffle. At the door, he paused. Was any of it real? Your struggling consultant act. Every great business person knows the value of market research, I replied. I learned exactly how this company was being run, by watching from the kitchen. Only my father remained, standing at the window that overlooked the city skyline. What happens now? Now? I joined him at the window. Now we rebuild. Make this company what it should have been. One that values merit over inheritance, innovation over tradition. And us, your family? I thought about all the family dinners where my ideas were dismissed, all the meetings I was barred from, all the times I was told to know my place. You'll always be my father, I said finally. But this? I gestured to the boardroom. This is business. And in business, I stopped being just your daughter a long time ago. He nodded slowly, understanding at last. When did you become this? I always was this, Dad. You just never bothered to look past your own expectations to see it. The next few months transformed Anderson Global. Under Sterling's leadership, toxic management was cleared out, innovative projects were given priority, and the company's value steadily climbed. Michael found himself working under a female VP half his age, learning what real business acumen looked like. My father retired, though we both knew it wasn't really his choice. He sent me message after message, trying to rebuild our relationship now that he understood my true capabilities. But some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt with simple apologies. 1 year later, I stood in my office at Sterling's headquarters, looking out over the city. My assistant entered with the morning reports. Your brother's here to see you, she said quietly, says it's important. I smiled, remembering his words from that day. The kitchen is where you belong. Successful people only in the boardroom. Tell him he can wait in the kitchen, I replied. I'm busy running a successful company. Success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Sometimes you have to leave the table where you're not welcome to build your own empire. And sometimes, the best revenge isn't taking over the family business. It's making them realize they never really knew what business was at all. As for me, I still visit the kitchen at Anderson Global sometimes. Not because anyone sends me there, but because that's where I first learned the most valuable lesson in business. The people at the top don't always see what's really going on. But if you're willing to start at the bottom, learn every detail, and work harder than anyone else, one day, you might just find yourself signing their checks. And that's a business lesson even my family had to respect.